There's a managerial war of words after last night's Premier League action. Marek Hamsik is on his way to China, Unai Emery faces a transfer troubling summer, and why is James Rodriguez under fire at Bayern Munich? That and more coming up in the next few minutes as I am your host Matt Froelich, you are the One Footballers, and this is the Daily News. First up, and Jurgen Klopp had a lot to say last night to the referees after his side dropped 2 points away at West Ham United. Klopp said that after Mane's goal was given, in which James Milner, the assister, was clearly offside, that the game had affected the referee's assistant. He said from this point onwards it was about not making the gap too far, basically saying that West Ham were given the advantage over everything as to not make things already worse, that they had a goal against them which was clearly offside. This, to me, is absolute nonsense. Yet again, we've seen Jurgen Klopp completely blame something which is out of his control, rather than the fact that both of his strikers in Firmino and Salah had pretty poor evenings. Despite this though, Liverpool are still 3 points ahead at the top of the Premier League until potentially tomorrow night when Manchester City travel to Everton, and should Pep Guardiola's men pick up all 3 points, they will go ahead of Liverpool on goal difference. As for last night's game though, on the flip side of things, Manuel Pellegrini had a lot to say about Jurgen Klopp having a lot to say. He basically said that he always wins by disallowed goals, and he's actually harking back to something that happened 6 years ago. Back when Dortmund reached the Champions League final in 2013, in the semi-finals they played Manuel Pellegrini's Malaga side, only to score a couple of offside goals and make it through to the final at Wembley. It seems that Pellegrini hasn't forgotten this, and so many years later he's still pretty ticked off. But moving on to some transfer news, and it comes from Serie A, where even though the transfer window is shut, much like in England, teams can still sell players, especially to the likes of the Chinese Super League, where their transfer window doesn't shut for a few weeks. The next player to leave is Napoli's Marek Hamsik in a deal which just does not make any sense to me. Now, let's lay out a few things first of all. At Napoli, he is their captain. He's also the vice-captain of Slovakia, but that's neither here nor there. He's been at the club 12 years, he's their all-time record goal scorer, their all-time record appearance holder, and he's only 31 years old. So why on earth is he moving to China? I just do not understand this. Maybe you guys have more of an insight and can let me know in the comments section. But he's still at a pretty good age. He's at a fantastic top European club. So why would he go and take the payday now? Surely he can wait a few years to get all the money when he's like 35 or 36. And even if he doesn't, I'm sure he's made enough money from Napoli that he doesn't need to move to China. The official word was he wanted to face something new, a different challenge, but I'm sure there were many teams in Europe that definitely would have taken him ahead of moving to the Far East. And talking of transfer news, and this summer could be a troubling one for Unai Emery, especially if his Arsenal side do not finish in the top 4. Reports coming from the Emirates have said that there will only be around £40 million to spend in the summer should they not bring in Champions League football, which, looking at last summer's spending, isn't really much at all. And even then, last summer's spending wasn't huge either compared to the rest of world football. Last year they bought in the likes of Socrates Papastathopoulos, Lucas Torreira, Guendouzi and a few others for around £69 million. So who on earth are they going to bring in for 29 million less when Emery has said that he wants 2 fullbacks, a centre-back, a striker and potentially another winger? All this on top of the fact they could be paying 28 million to bring in Lone Star Denis Suarez. This means that it is all the more important for Arsenal to get back into the top 4 after 2 years of Europa League obscurity. No offense to the competition, but that's pretty much what it is when you look at the money that they can gain from being in the top 4. What this also does is affect the outgoings at Arsenal, where Emery looks desperate to get rid of Mesut Ozil. Now, it's not only the fact that he'll bring in quite a lot of money, despite the fact he's really not playing at the moment, but also he's on 350k a week. This will free up a whole load of transfer wage budget for all these new players to come in. For 350k a week, you could probably sign about 4 players these days. Anyway, one of the targets that they did actually miss out on in this transfer window was James Rodriguez, and it's clear now why he hasn't been playing at Bayern Munich, or why many other teams probably didn't want to push a deal through. Apparently, he is overweight. So much so that Bayern have given him 13 rules for a strict diet. These include stuff like having sweetener instead of sugar with your coffee, having 5 meals a day and not skipping any, only having 5 pounds of oil on your salad, drinking water between every meal, and making sure you have enough fresh fruit. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if a 27-year-old professional footballer has to be told the most basic and simple dieting rules, something must be seriously wrong. Now, I'm no physician or dietitian or nutritionist or whatever. I do know a tiny little bit about food, probably the fact that you should eat healthily, fresh fruit, water, not too much sugar. Like, surely that's the standard for anyone who wants to be in a better way of living. As for James Rodriguez, well, it seems that he is unable to abide by these rules, and it's shown in the fact that he's only made 11 appearances for Bayern Munich this season. Of course, he has injuries in those times, but it's not really helping him in a time where he needs to impress. Either so he can come back to Bayern Munich where they can pay for him permanently, or so when he goes back to parent club Real Madrid, they'll want to play him. Otherwise, he'll be stuck in the ether where no one really wants him, and he may end up moving down a couple of teams. So there you have it. That's all from me for today, guys. Make sure you let me know in the comments section everything on today's daily news. Will Arsenal actually make the top 4, and is Klopp just coming up with more and more excuses? You can smash the like button whilst you're down there, and also click here or here to check out all of the other videos that we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.